All right, you're listening to 91.5 WUML Lowell Blues Deluxe. And it's my pleasure and honor. I can't believe I'm actually talking to Jon Butcher from Jon Butcher's Axis. That's what he used to call the band, but he's a solo guy now, Jon Butcher,
I think I've always been myself,
right?
but I did have a band that I'm very grateful for because it helped introduce me to the world.
It sure did. So welcome to Blues Deluxe. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
You're
Thanks very
welcome.
much.
Thank you.
I was looking forward to talking to you today for a lot of reasons, most all of which have to do with music. So I'm happy that we can spend a few minutes together today.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I have history in the music business just doing my radio show, and you have all kinds of history that I want to talk about a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Here I am.
Now, you grew up in Pennsylvania originally, right? Is that correct?
I was born
Born in
in
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
but I grew up in uh, Fairbanks, Alaska.
Well, that's a nice place.
Well, that's where I spent my childhood.
Yeah.
My mother and father worked for the government at the Air Force Base in Nenana, and so that's how I began. And uh, I guess we moved there when I was 5 years old, and stayed until my second to the last, my junior year in high school.
Yep.
So it was it was quite a culture shock to come back to the lower 48, believe me.
Yeah, and you ended up here going to school in Massachusetts, correct?
Yeah, just you know what, honestly, just on not a whim, but I almost threw a dart at a map. I wanted to get away from my parents' house and live on my own and try my music wings. And so I thought of places that had schools because that was there was no way they were going to let me leave home without, finishing school, going to college.
Right.
So I picked Boston for that very reason. They had a broadcast journalism school called Graham Junior College in Kenmore Square. And that's where I ended up going to school for broadcast journalism along with Johnny A of all people.
Yeah, I know him too.
Yeah. So that's how I ended up here in New England.
And you ended up in a very good period of time here in New England because the rock and blues scene in this area was just crazy.
I know, and I can't express how grateful I am for having been a small part of that. You know, so much great music. Everybody knows it's so much great music and so many great artists come from Boston. Everybody knows it,
Yeah.
but a lot of people don't know that in those days, especially when you were in a band and coming up, there were so many opportunities to play at different venues. I can't even name them all, and it really supported local music, which is how we ended up with our first record deal.
Yeah, I can name a lot of those places because I was in them all the time. I mean,
Sure,
it
sure.
was
Everything from the Rat to
the
the Old Paradise to
paradise. Yeah.
Bunratty's to
Yeah.
the Channel. I mean, the list is endless.
Yeah, you had a lot of places to play, and there was a lot of bands playing in all those places too.
And so, as you might imagine, what happened was, with so many great places to play, it allowed guys like me to sort of hone our act,
Yeah.
to sharpen our songwriting, to do all those things. Aerosmith did the same thing. They spent those early years playing in all of these places, and so when the record deal came, they were ready.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even imagine how many clubs were around at that time. There's Harper's Ferry, I mean, Night Stage, you name it.
The list is endless, and
Right.
not just Boston, the surrounding areas, the suburbs.
Oh, yeah.
The way station in Bourne, Mass.
Yep.
The list is as long as your arm, and all those places were fans that we made connections with.
Yep. And you had a whole bunch. You had a whole bunch of peer bands in the area as well that were doing it, and I mean, like you started out with, I think Joanna Wild was the band you were in first, right?
Well, that was my first really serious band
Band.
because we came to the attention of WBCN and they played our tape. We didn't have a record yet,
Yep.
so we had a demo tape like a lot of guys did then, and they jumped on it. All of a sudden, we were famous
Yep.
in our area because of WBCN and WCOZ.
Yep. And then the Axis. You put the Axis together after that for a little while later.
Yeah, not long after the drummer Derek Blevins and I found Chris Martin in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and we decided to go trio. I mean, the Axis first start. This is interesting. The Axis was a quartet, two guitars, bass, and drums, because I was used to that from Joanna Wild. But the other guitar player was Cliff Goodwin, who was also working with Joe Cocker.
Yeah.
Joe Cocker went on tour, and of
Yep.
course, we lost our other guitar player.
Well, he's
And
with the
that's
bee.
how
He's with the
Axis
Beehive Queen now, or he
yeah.
was.
So to
Yep.
finish my story, that's
Yep.
how Axis turned into a trio.
Wow. And then you were working the area and all the clubs at that time, and it says you opened for Jay Giles for a tour, freeze frame tour.
The Freeze Frame tour was our first, you know, our first walk on the big stage, big places, the Boston Garden 3 nights in a row. Uh, I guess Peter Wolf heard our song on the radio on WBCN and invited us to play New Year's Eve with the Geils Band. Of course, we were doing cartwheels because that was a chance to go big time, right?
Yeah.
Well, that led to 3 nights 4 nights in the New England area, Providence, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and then that led to a tour of the United States.
And then shortly after that, you had a record too come out.
That's exactly right. We came home from the Freeze Frame tour and got signed to Polygram.
And you did how many records on Polygram? Do you remember?
I want to say two. We did the first record and Stare at the Sun
Yeah.
on Polygram Records, and around that time we switched to Capitol
Yeah.
Capitol Records, where we did 3 albums.
And those three albums were later on, like 86, 87, somewhere in
Something
there.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
88. Yep.
And Wishes is one of those. We were talking about that before the interview.
Yeah. So, like I was saying to you, that album was a turning point for me, or maybe not a turning point, a crossroads, because I had, it's hard to keep a band together. It's
Yeah.
really hard. If tours don't go the way you want them to, or the album doesn't sell and the cities are playing, or any number of factors you can't control, that takes a toll on the guys in the band, right? They're out
Yeah.
there in a tour bus
Yeah.
riding around the country trying to promote your record. So Axis was struggling with Polydor because they didn't understand what to do with us.
Yeah.
And so along comes Capitol Records, who had a better idea, and that ultimately led to Wishes.
And more popularity around the world then, because
Yeah,
it was being played.
yeah, I think so. And it was a break. You can't just have one break,
Right.
John. You have to have like 6. As you're trying to establish yourself along the way, you need about 5 or 6 good breaks.
Well, I'll tell you, my favorite album, you have some live albums too, but is that King Biscuit live album that's out.
Oh yeah, yeah. I listened to that for the first time a few years ago, and it reminded me how good the band was live.
Yeah.
Remember, I was telling you it was a little frustrating for me listening to the first 2 records because they were produced by somebody else. Well, You listen to that King Biscuit Flower Hour and you'll understand that that was the band,
Yeah,
live. That was it. And we wanted to transfer that onto the first record.
yeah.
And
You,
oops,
oops.
Polygram had other ideas.
Well, I got to see you at the Paradise a couple times. I think it was over the years, and
Yeah,
um, you all kinds of places. And you opened for a whole bunch of people later on,
I
Rush,
know.
and how was that? What was that like to open for those bands?
Well, each one was different. I mean, let me think. Def Leppard was fantastic. That was a huge tour, and the bands really got along and became friends and hung out together and traveled together. The other opposite end of the spectrum was Rush. Rush was really hard. That was a hard tour because we were the opening act. And I don't know whether you've ever been to a Rush show,
Yeah, how do you follow that up? Right,
well, you're not trying to follow it. You're trying to
right,
open for it,
right.
right?
Open for it. Correct.
Right. And there's a bunch of people who can't wait to see Rush, Rush,
Right,
Rush.
right.
All of a sudden, there's this band, and who are these guys? I never heard of them before. And there's this black guy jumping around like a lunatic. So, so I didn't enjoy that tour as much as I did some others.
How were they toward you? Those guys, they okay? The Rush guys.
Yeah, Neil was great. He was very friendly and welcoming because he saw what was happening to us.
Yeah,
Listen to this. We played Quebec City with Rush. I can't remember the name of the venue.
yeah.
And we were about to go on, and the house lights went down, and everybody cheers when the house lights go down. Well, as soon as the house lights went down, everybody went, Rush, Rush, Rush,
Uh oh.
Rush, because they, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Because only instead of Rush, it was the Jon Butcher Axis. And so for a split second, the people in the audience were like, who are these guys?
Yeah.
This isn't Rush. And I had to, I pretty much had to stand on my nose to get them to pay attention. We only played 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And by the time we were done, we made fans. But believe me when I tell you, it was hard because they didn't want to hear it.
Well, it's completely different. The music is completely different too.
Night and day. Yeah.
Right. And then the Scorpions was the other tour you opened for.
Oh God. Now you see, you're mentioning the only two tours that I didn't like that much.
Yeah.
Listen to this. Those guys, some of them could barely speak English. They're German,
Yeah.
right? So we just met them. First night, Kansas City. We're going to open up for them, and who else was on the bill? Somebody else. I can't remember.
Well, again, completely different.
So check it out. So we're back in our dressing room, and our tour manager said, "Well, they want to meet you guys," and we thought we were in trouble, like the principal's office, because we
Yeah.
were about to go on, and we walked in, and Einstein, Orden, Stieter, Garten, Fruchtgarten, and we just went, oh, thank you, yes, thanks, and so we didn't really make a connection with them. That
Yeah.
didn't really happen. Not to mention, we weren't doing. Axis was never heavy metal. It
Right.
never was.
Right.
It never was a metal band, right? It was a rock act
Yeah.
with blues mixed in with that,
Yeah.
right? So those metal tours were tough. I didn't enjoy them as much as Geils.
Yeah.
I didn't mention or who else? Who am I thinking of?
Def Leppard, you said was good.
Def Leppard. Yeah. Who's that band that did "Got What You Need"? Got what you need. Oh, NXS.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. Uh, I, 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 People at record companies want to put you in as neat a box as possible because it makes their job easier.
Right.
If they can say, listen, we got this new band, the Jon Butcher Axis, they're heavy metal. Everybody who they service who likes heavy metal go, oh, yeah, we know, sure, we'll put them on, blah, 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 blah. Except it wasn't that. It was
Right.
something else. It
Right.
was something different than that. So hard to categorize. Now the guy that wants to at the record company who just wants to put you in that box has got to build a different box.
Yep.
He's got to find different language to talk about it. He's got to find radio stations that support that are playing, say, maybe the Police, or maybe they're playing, Geils, or any of the other rock acts that aren't
Yep.
heavy metal. So I didn't mean to go on,
No, that
but
that that you're explaining. That's a good explanation of what it's like. I mean, for
yeah,
someone who's a rock act, and then you're being put in front of your opening.
miscast.
Right.
It's like it's being miscast in a movie.
Right.
Like somebody who's not the Joker playing the Joker. You
Right.
know, so talking about tours, it's a mixed bag. I did a bunch of them in those days, all the way through the 90s. And some of them were great, and some of them weren't. And the ones that weren't were almost always fostered by a major label, almost always,
Yeah.
because they didn't know what to do.
So let's talk about the recordings. You've got quite a few recordings over the years. I can't believe you're still doing it. I mean, there's a lot. I was shocked at how many recordings you've done over the years, and you're still doing it. I mean,
Yeah, I don't like to think about that too much because I realize what else am I going to do?
right.
I mean, I've been lucky in my career in that I've done enough things so that I get residuals from different places,
Yeah.
different types of stuff from TV and film to
Yeah,
commercials.
that's next. I want to ask you about TV and film.
Well, I got a break. I was lucky. I met somebody, the producers for Homer and Bart Simpson back in the 90s. And that was huge at the time.
Yeah.
And I was asked if I wanted to write a commercial for them. I'd done something else before that, and it was successful. So, make a long story short, I ended up being in this radio, a TV commercial broadcast around the country with Homer and Bart Simpson. Everybody's seeing it. Everybody that wasn't aware, I can send it to you if you want the spot. It's really fun and
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
And and uh, and that's how what started small got bigger.
Yeah.
And as it got bigger, my opportunities to make a living were more
Expanded.
opportunities.
You,
Yeah,
you
expanding.
yeah, you
Yeah,
got more and more and more.
exactly right.
Are you
And
still
and I
doing
was
that today?
oh yeah,
Oh,
I was lucky to get on that train at a time where money still could be made.
yeah.
Now, back in those days, I would get paid $38,000 to write a spot for Fox Television for their new season. 38K. Right now, those same companies, they're not paying 38 or 40,000 for a for a spot to a musician. It's more like $1,500, $2,500. And the model has changed. AI has changed that too. A lot of the ways that I made money by writing music for television uh, 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 changed,
Yep.
and those income streams got smaller and smaller. Now residuals, fortunately, because I own all my stuff, are forever.
Right.
So that has provided a comfortable income.
That's great that you were able to do that, and you were in the right place at the right time back
Right
then
place at the
doing it.
right time. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about the last two records, 360 Degrees and Special Day. Special
I
Day,
love both. Man, I love those records. I do.
the
Their
sound is
songs,
great
well,
on
I
both.
love them.
Yeah.
And I think that comes through. They're honest. Um, I've been producing my own records since Wishes. And it's not an ego-driven thing. It's because I understand what I'm trying to say better than anyone
And
else
you
would.
you know what you want to hear too.
Yeah, I know what I want to hear, and I'm able to do it. A lot of those two records, except for some exceptions, are all done almost all by me, playing a lot of different instruments and doing a lot of different vocal parts. And sometimes I'll hire a drummer or something I can't play, or to get another's flavor. But I produce and create those records pretty much myself.
That's great. You got a new one coming out. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, if anybody listening to this wants to hear and find out more about me, you can go to my website, johnbutcher.com. And if you do, what you'll find is I'm talking about a new record uh, called Nothing But Soul. It's 10 new tracks of all of the formative stuff that I took in the early days, and the record I've always wanted to make since I first got signed. Of course, there's a lot of guitar playing, but I think the songwriting has evolved in a way that people will really dig. Um, Example, I loved Sly and the Family Stone. I love their mix of rock, their fusion of rock and soul and R&B. And so that I took that as kind of like a jumping off point to this record. I think people are, of course, there's a Hendrix influence, but how could there not be?
Right.
And I think people will dig it a lot.
And it comes out when?
I've just finished it. I've just finished recording. We're in mastering right now, and I'm going to release the first single at the end of next month,
Wow.
April.
And people can get it right on your site,
Oh
website.
yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, um, a lot of people have been looking for the Wishes record. Uh, they lost their copy, and my company have found a lot of old albums from Wishes to the first two albums by the Jon Butcher Axis, all that stuff on CD, which is really hard to find, and we have it all at my website, johnbutcher.com. So please check it out.
Yeah, and they need to check out that live album too we were talking about. That's
We have
really.
that at the website
Oh,
too.
you do. Good.
All on CD. Yep.
Great. And so you get some gigs coming up too, I see.
Man, I've got a show coming up with one of my favorite performers, James Montgomery. Uh, we're playing at the Park Theater in Jaffe, New Hampshire. April 5th, I think, is the show. And James and I go way back. He is an institution when it comes to Boston and New England music, James Montgomery. And so he and I have done numerous shows over the years. And this show that's coming up April 5th, we're really excited about. I haven't been to am I saying it right, Jaffrey?
Yeah, Jaffrey, New Hampshire.
Yeah. Uh, I haven't been to Jaffrey in some time, and we're looking forward to people coming down and seeing us at the Park Theater.
So I also see you're going to be playing at the Regent Theater too. Is that true?
That's the night before
Yep.
in the Boston Arlington area. That's a nice little theater that has great vantage point no matter what seat you're in, and the sound is terrific. They put a new sound system in the theater a couple of years ago, and it's fantastic. It's a great music experience. So that weekend we're in Boston at the Regent, and then at the Park Theater in Jaffrey, New Hampshire, the next night. And
And
we
then
hope to see everybody.
this weekend too, right? Aren't you playing this weekend?
Well, we're playing Saturday night. Let's see here. Yes, at Claremont, New Hampshire, at the Claremont Theater. We're calling that the Rock and Roll Circus. I should clarify that.
Yep.
It's the Rock and Roll Circus with featuring myself and James Montgomery and some other really fine players.
Yeah, Danny Klein, I heard is going to be with his band.
Absolutely, Danny Klein is going to be there. I'm trying to find the list.
Jeff
Kevin
Pitchell.
Graham, of course, from his television show. DK will be there. Kate Benham will be there, and this is something that I think everybody is going to enjoy.
Yeah, I just had him in the studio. Kevin James Graham from The Voice. He played at the.
Well, he's a great guy. He's a
Yeah.
great guy with a terrific voice, and it's an honor to play with these people. It's an honor for me to be a part of people who really are doing it for the love of music.
Well, yeah, I had him scheduled to come in,
Mhm.
and he had to cancel because you guys wanted him to play a gig with you guys. I said, no problem.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody this Saturday night, Claremont,
Great.
New Hampshire.
So you got 3 coming up. Claremont
Well, those are
this week.
those are the first 3. The
Yep.
summer is going to go on, and there's a lot of other shows coming.
Great.
All of those shows, by the way, I've said it. I think I mentioned it. You can find everything that you ever wanted to know and more about Jon Butcher at my website, johnbutcher.com. Uh, all of the shows are there, and all of the info about the new album that I'm working on and releasing, Nothing But Soul.
Great. And I met, when I interviewed Montgomery, I asked him about, he's got 50 years on his recording career. When's he going to bring his original band back and play with the original band? He keeps telling me he's thinking about doing it, but he has never done it.
Well, I understand that better than anybody. There are essentially 10 hours in the day when you can do stuff. You have
Yep.
to sleep sometime, right?
Yep.
So with the things that somebody like James is balancing, he's got a movie release that he's been working with for the past couple of years, and all of his charitable work.
Yep.
He's a busy guy, and I'm sure he'll get to it hopefully soon.
He's got 2 movies, by the way. His brother's
What I'm
movie,
saying.
too. Yeah, he's busy.
Yeah, so I'm sure he'll get to it.
And how about the Axis? They're 40 years, close to almost over 40 years now, right?
Yeah, geez, when you say it like that, I realize how much time has gone by. The Axis is doing a concert, a birthday concert. It's my birthday in Gloucester, Massachusetts on May 30th.
Your
And
birthday's May 5th, right?
June 5th.
June 5th, I mean, yeah.
Right, but we're doing our birthday show this year in Gloucester, Mass on the 30th. And once again, people can go to my website and get all of the pertinent information.
Wow, that's great. And it's a big birthday for you this year.
Yes.
That's
35.
Good. Yeah. 35.
35.
I wish I was 35. So they can go to your website. How about social media? You're all over that, I take it.
I am easy to find. Of course, all of the usual suspects, Facebook, Instagram. I don't mess with Twitter anymore. I used to, but it has changed, so I don't do that anymore. But I am at the other social media places.
Yeah.
Just enter Jon Butcher, and you'll come across more information than you want to know.
I thought it was interesting when I was reading through your bio that your last name comes from your stepfather. I don't know how you would do that. Was great when I said, wow, that's pretty good.
It's funny how life works, huh?
Yeah, you don't expect that. I mean, for a stage name, you're using your stepfather's last name, which is pretty cool.
Well, I grew up. He came into my life when I was, I want to say, 5 going on 6. So from 6 years old to now, I've been Jon Butcher.
You're always going to be Jon Butcher, though. There you go.
Yeah.
So we need to get you to come sometime, and I try to get Montgomery to come and bring you with him. But now that I'm connected with you, I'm gonna give you all my contact information. If you're ever in my area, come on in and
Please
play.
do. I would appreciate that, and I'll have a guitar with me. I promise.
And I'm gonna get you one of these T-shirts too. How's that?
Fantastic. Thank you.
Isn't that great?